Fringeland, where the lines get blurred, where the odd and the unheard finally get their word. Aliens and outlaws, politics and schemes.
Welcome to Fringeland, where we meet people on the edge of society and sometimes reality. My name is Douglas K, and I'll be your host. It's a beautiful day today in our Burbank studios. We have a very exciting show planned for you today. This one hits home for me because I am, as you may know, the father of two Gen Z kids in college. And lately I've noticed that Gen Z has really done a lot to further the language. And so when my producer Rory said that they had a Gen Z whisperer, someone to help bridge the gap between Gen Z slang and Gen X slang, I was really excited to meet this person. So his name is Cool McKidd, and he runs a website called the Gen Z Whisperer.biz. And we're going to meet him today. He's going to teach us some Gen Z slang and help us communicate with our children. It should be a very exciting show. Hello, Cool, and welcome to Fringeland.
Thanks, Douglas. I gotta say, no cap, Doug. This studio's got mad aura. The vibe is bussin'.
Okay, so these are a few terms I've heard from my kids. Bussin' and things like that.
Bussin'.
So I'm excited to get into those. But first, I'm a little interested in your journey, how you became the Gen Z Whisperer.
That's right.
Also, I'm not able to see your camera right now. I'm not sure if we're having some technical difficulties or something with that.
Yeah, I'm having some issues today. I'm really sorry. I usually don't have technical problems like this, but something seems like it's going on with my camera. But I think it'll fix it a little bit.
Okay, Rory, maybe we can have the engineers work with Cool, and we can go ahead and continue our conversation. I apologize to those watching on the web are not going to be able to see Cool until we figure this out. On a side note, Rory, it would be great if we worked out our technical issues before the episode starts. I believe we've talked about this several times. Verify that, yes, our guests are able to call in, that their technical issues are going to work out. And this is an unfortunate way to start the show, Rory, so I would appreciate if you'd step it up a little bit. I know your wife's been busy with her home-based peanut brittle business. Peanut brittle, is that what she's selling? Well, maybe we need to focus a little bit more on work, Rory, and that's all I'm going to say. Sorry, Cool. Tell me again how you got started and how you built this website.
Well, Douglas, as you know, communication is the most important thing ever.
Absolutely.
And we need to be able to communicate different generations, Gen Z and Gen X as well, the past and the future, as well as the boomers, those people who were born after World War II. They're important too, and they have their own slang. So what we do in the Gen Z Whisperer.biz is we give people a table of reference. So say you're sitting down with your great-grandchildren and ask about your time in the Navy, the Korean War, not Fortnite, and you want to tell them about it, but you don't know exactly how to say, hey, war is hell. They don't understand that. So I say, hey, kids, my rizz game's still locked in. My drip isn't mild, or is it mid? So I understand the assignment. Let's say less.
We just take that sentence apart. We said that your rizz game is still locked in.
It
and
is,
your trip wasn't mid.
No, it's not mid.
What does that mean exactly? I think I've heard this before, but I have no idea what those words mean.
Well, what it means is that Cool is still here. Cool is still picking fannies and taking names, and you can see me down at the soda shop if you want to get in my face and challenge me.
Okay, that sounds a little awful. What is the soda shop? Is that like a new place that kids are hanging out these days?
Well, back at the drive-in, sometimes busters would come in and they would say, hey, you're kind of sus. And I'd say, I will absolutely punch your face and no cap. And then they would say, I'm not feeling that vibe, man. And I'm like, hey, you know what? You're being super cringe right now. So if you'd just spill the tea and get out of here, that would be great. Otherwise, you and me, we're going to have a fisticuffs.
Okay, sort of sounds kind of violent. I really just wanted to stick with the language of Gen Z. You've thrown a lot of terms at me. Sus, no cap. I definitely heard some of those, but what is all this stuff about the drive-in? I don't think drive-ins exist anymore, do they?
Well, you see, the Greasers were a small group of ruffians, and they were known for selling hand-rolled cigarettes and causing all kinds of ruckus in our neighborhood. So I took Dolores out to the drive-in, and we saw a film, and these guys showed up, and they were clearly brain rot. And so I was like, hey, I'm not afraid to throw down if we need to. You guys are delulu, and that's what I'm saying. And, that's just, I'm talking about my girlfriend's Giat, like this is not okay. And so what we did was I actually happened to have I guess you could call it a baseball bat in the back of my car. And so we took the greasers out behind the soda phosphate station. And we just beat them mercilessly. We absolutely just tortured them and beat them up. But we showed them, hey, look, this is how we do things in the Navy. And we're not going to tolerate your thuggish behavior.
Let's change topics a little bit because I want to get away from this wanton violence that you're proposing. Let's just do a simple translation. I'll say some of my Gen X slang, and you tell me what the equivalent is in Gen Z.
Sounds good.
So, like, we used to say words like something was rad or gnarly. What would be the Gen Z equivalent of that?
Doug, that is chuggy, bro. Big yikes. I wouldn't be using those kind of phrases anymore because everyone's going to think that you're some old boomer, and they're going to try and corner you down at the diner, and you're going to have to stand up for yourself. So I wouldn't do that.
Okay, I'm getting a note from my producer, Rory, right now. He says that they've been able to connect to your cell phone. So we're going to go ahead and tap your video feed in here. So if you could okay. Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, okay, now I see
you.
you.
I can hear you.
I have to say, and I don't know what the politically correct way to say this is, but Cool, it seems you might be a touch older than your website implies, or at least the photo on your website. Can you give us an idea how old you are?
Well, Douglas, I'm actually 86 years old. I did fight in the Korean War. I was in the Navy. And learning Gen Z has been, learning their slang has been a great way for me to stay relevant and communicate with my great-grandkids.
I see. I guess with a name like Cool McKidd, you're sort of implying to people that maybe you are Gen Z, but it doesn't seem that you are Gen Z, or a millennial, or Gen X, or maybe even a boomer. It seems like you actually are quite a bit older than that. You're 86 years old. So I guess maybe this was a way for you to learn the language of the younger generation, as you say, to stay relevant.
They tried to throw me in a home, Doug. They said that I no longer could work at the factory because I was causing so many accidents. I was getting in too many fights. I was hitting people a lot. When you get older, sometimes you have these nightmare frenzies and you just start hitting things. And I guess I'd hit a woman named Roberta several times with a crowbar. And they said, okay, you can no longer work at the factory. You need to go to a home because you are clearly losing your mental faculties. So that's when I came up with the idea to become the Gen Z Whisperer, rebrand myself, and show my ungrateful grandchildren that I am still relevant and that I can still contribute to this world.
I guess as an interviewer, I'm a little caught off guard because I thought I was interviewing a Gen Z expert who happens to be from that para, and it sounds instead I'm talking to somebody from maybe the industrial age and who has co-opted Gen Z slang to try and stay, like you said, relevant and show your ungrateful grandchildren that you still can contribute. I guess I don't know really. I mean, are you really an expert in Gen Z slang? Can you give us some more examples, maybe for any skeptics in our audience who might doubt your ability to bridge the gap between Gen Z and other generations? What kind of other slang do they use?
Well, I remember one time I said, pass the salt fan, the roast beef bussin for real. And if I had lost it. But my grandkids, they stood up and clapped and they said, Grandpa, you slay. And that gave me the idea because I said, hey, I can win over this generation. I can regain my vitality, maybe even date some nice Gen X women, maybe some single mothers, something like that. If I learn the language, then I am. So I'm locked in, Doug. No minty bees here.
Okay, well, you did throw out some terminology there, and I think we should just focus on that. Obviously, we're a little surprised that you're not actually Gen Z, but what does it mean when you say you're locked in and no minty bees? What does that mean?
Well, the greasers were a particularly violent group of ruffians, and the way that you would get to them is you would find the weakest one. There was usually a straggler in the pack. That's the one you want to focus on, because if you can take out, whatever lame Henry they have on the outskirts of their gang, then you can send a message to the top that says, hey, maybe Cool would be someone that we should have in our gang. And so I wanted to show the greasers that, yes, I am tough, I'm not to be messed with, but I also can deliver the violence. And so what I did was I took that bat and I found, their weakest member, and I actually hit him in his legs and he fell over. And then the other greasers stood back and they said, whoa, this man's crazy. And I said, that's right. That's what the beaches of Iwo Jima will do to you. They'll make you a cold-blooded, ruthless killer. And that was the last the greasers ever bothered me and Dolores when we went to the drive-in.
So the greasers, you keep going back to that. It sounds like some kind of a hoodlum street gang from, I'm guessing, the 1950s. Yeah. Is that right? So you wanted to win them over, and so you showed them that you were a tough person, not to be messed with.
Don't mess
How
with
does
me.
this tie into Gen Z language? That's what I think our audience would like to know at this point.
What your audience needs to know is that this grandpa's got rizz, not brain rot. W or L, and that's a W, fam. And that's what we did to the greasers. Me and Tommy, we actually did corner another couple of them, and we got some brass knuckles down from a local military supply store, and we just put a beating on them like they had never seen before. So this whole idea that I'm not relevant anymore, I can't work at the factory because I had these crazy murder frenzies occasionally, once a week tops, that means that I can no longer work a bandsaw. I think that's ridiculous. And so what I wanted to do is show your audience that maybe I'm 86 years old, but I'm still very relevant. I'm still very dangerous. You do not want to mess with me, okay? These fists are registered weapons, and I'll use them if I have to. And all you have to do is dig up the grave of those greasers who we buried alive back in 1958, and you'll know exactly that you don't want to mess with me. And if you put me in a home, it's going to be nothing but murder frenzies all day long. I will clean that place out. I will turn that home into a slaughterhouse. So don't even think about putting me in there.
Well, cool. It sounds like you've been through a lot and you're in maybe kind of a transitional phase. I don't think this call went the way that we hoped it would. We were hoping to get some real Gen Z type advice, but it sounds like you just want to talk about the greasers and some of the beatings that you put on them. So I'm thinking maybe we should just wrap up this interview, and good luck to you and your family.
Let me ask you a question. What kind of product do you put in your hair?
Product?
Looks like you've got some kind of gel or maybe some grease in there. Is that what I'm seeing?
I have a hairstylist that uses some kind of pomade type gel to give my hair some body and some shine. And I don't know why you're asking. Would you like my producer Roy to send you the name of the product they use?
You're a dirty greaser, aren't you, Doug? Greaser just like the kind that used to haunt the drive-ins and the movie theaters and the diners and used to pick on me and Dolores. Well, Tommy thought we got all of you, but apparently not. So Doug I'd like to challenge you to a fisticuffs. Mano y mano.
Mano, okay. Yeah, it's mono y mono. But whatever. I'm certainly not going to fight an 86-year-old man just because he thinks that I'm a greaser or something from his youth. I'm a broadcaster here in Burbank, and this was supposed to be a friendly interview, and it's taken a turn that I don't really care for, if I'm being honest.
Well, let me ask you a question then. What was your great-grandfather's name, Douglas?
Well, let's see. I know I'm Douglas K. the Fourth, so his name was Douglas, but I know he went by something else like, what is it? Tommy
Greaseman. That's what I thought. Your great-grandfather was the leader of the Greasers,
I'm
here to fulfill my vengeance for Dorothy and for interrupting our beautiful date at the soda phosphate shop. Senator Douglas, I'm actually outside your studio right now.
What?
And I want you to meet me out here. I've got my brass knuckles, and we're going to settle this the way we used to settle it back in 1958.
I mean, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to go out. In fact, we have security. Rory, maybe you can have our security sweep the grounds. Make sure that there's not a senile 86-year-old man outside with brass knuckles.
Your aura is terrible.
However, I will say thank you for coming on the show. I'm sorry this did not turn out the way we wanted, but
Well, I'm gonna shade you. That's what I'm gonna do. No cap. I'm going to go back and I'm gonna tell everybody that the vibe of Douglas is that super sus, very sus, maybe the most sus of anybody I've ever seen.
The sus,
and that's going to be the legacy that your great grandfather has created, because the greasers are in your blood, and you can't join the gang. You have to be born into it. So therefore, the only way that I'm going to be able to get into the greasers is through your blood. So I need you to come out here and just give me some of your blood, and then I will be part of the greasers, and I will take over the gang, and then I will take my rightful place atop that group, and we will haunt the soda phosphate trucks and the drive-ins, and we will take over this town, and I will be young again.
Well, I'm getting a nod from Rory that the security is heading out to the parking lot, so if you really are out there, I would suggest you get in your car or get on the bus or however you got here and get back, because this is not going to happen.
Let me ask you a question, Douglas.
Okay.
Did you get a physical this week? Do you remember that? Did you go to the doctor?
Well, I didn't have my annual physical on Tuesday, but I don't know what that has to do.
Did the phlebotomist look familiar to you, Douglas?
I don't know.
Maybe
I closed
look
my eyes.
again. Do you remember an old man with shaky hands who took your blood?
Wait a minute. Are you saying that you were pretending to be the phlebotomist who took my blood for my physical?
Guess what I've got in my hand, Douglas, right here. A vial of greaser blood.
That's
and if I drink this, I'll
mine.
be young again, and I'll be
Please return
in
that.
charge of the greasers.
That
now,
needs to go to the
I'm
lab.
gonna just crack this cap here and just...
Oh no, you can't do that. Don't drink my blood.
No cap, Doug. If they come at me sideways, I'm locking in full main character energy. Drip and tack, and this glow-up grandpa, then a sleigh. They tried to shoot me to a home, but I said, say less, fam. This NBC still got a rizz. Bussin' right into overtime. My fists straight up my head. These hands understood the assignment and been wasting their W since Korea. They think I'm gonna crash out their delulu with no salumnu because this aura's got choke cold status. They pulled up Chucky vibes, but I hit him with bussin' combos, period. Not a soft launch. I was about to have a full minty B, then I remembered globes don't quit, they slay harder. Though you ever seen a walker retreat, these tennis balls hit different when you're throwing hands.
Welcome to Fringeland.
Well, now it's time to read some of your fan mail. Dear Douglas, my wife and I listen to Fringeland every week. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. What's it like being such a troll bag? Well, that's a great question. I like to think of myself as having many tools on the radio. I don't know if I'd say I have a tool bag, but I definitely try to be honest, represent the perspective of the people in Los Angeles, and trying to be fair with my guests. I guess those are the tools in my tool bag. So thank you so much for the kind words. I appreciate it. And I hope you're having a great day. Here's another one. Your show is the best cure for insomnia I've ever found. Well, thank you for that. I'm happy to know that people are being relaxed and sleeping better because of the work we're doing here on Fringeland. That is very comforting to hear. Obviously, we want to make a show that's interesting and compelling, but if it's also helping you to sleep, I know insomnia can be difficult. I also faced a bout of insomnia myself, so I'm really glad to hear that. Dear Douglas, your show feels like punishment, but you make it seem fun. Well, I like turning hard times into joy. That is something that I've always admired about great broadcasters, is they can take difficult things and make them into fun. So thank you again for the kind words. And you're the best reminder that anyone can try entertainment, no matter how little talent they have. I think what you're saying is that I inspire everyday people. I really appreciate that. That's a very kind thing to say. Fringeland is made for everybody. We don't want to exclude anybody. We don't want the show to seem elitist in any way. It's for the common person. So I think that's what you're saying, and I really appreciate those kind words. Well, that's all the time we have for fan mail this week. Make sure you comment on our videos, and you can end up on the show in a future episode.
Welcome to Fringeland, where the lines get blurred, where the odd and the unheard finally get their word. Aliens and outlaws, politics and schemes. Fringeland's the place for the wildest dreams.